PROG is
Josh, JBraham Lincoln, Mosscilator. Yeah, good to be here. Thanks, Misha.
Ben, and go under Pann, and used to go under Genius as well. I think it's pretty funny, the podcast called PROG is Bullshit. We both make and play prog.
I hope you don't, gain up on me in this.
No.
Well, I mean, you've come out swinging with the name of the podcast. So.
Yeah. I was hoping you could explain to us why we're bullshit.
I will try my best.
I label the stuff that I play, prog.
If you say prog in relation to psytrance, it's sort of like, I don't know, I just think like...
That's why I prefaced it with for me,
offbeats.
It's like the Aussie prog and the Aussie bush.
Yeah, dude, yeah.
It's good.
It's the way.
So is it what defines prog? Or is it one of them?
I don't know if I'm qualified. I don't know if I'm qualified.
Throw the bomb. Grenade.
I don't know. What's your... Because I've been thinking about how to answer this question.
Yeah, I've been
for
thinking about it too.
month, bro. Like,
So
I
it's
don't
like-
know how to define it really.
Brain. No, it's gone.
Come on, Ben.
Come on.
No. Now I don't feel confined at all. Now I feel like it's sort of like an infinite exploratory journey of sound that's...
Progressed.
Yeah, it's always progressing, Misha.
Progressive.
We're always progging out of it, baby.
Well, you gotta do it.
I'm pretty sure I'll be...
Progress and everything.
So I
So is there a
love
prog formula?
just offbeats, man. just do good.
There's also Euro prog.
Yeah, right.
Prog is bullshit.
I would call it that, yeah.
Dark prog?
For sure. Yeah, it's a dark proggy kind of thing. I'm trying to find my own little thing, but yeah, it's
Josh prog.
Josh Prog.
So what is Josh prog then? What is it that makes it prog though? You're like, yeah, I'm gonna make prog.
Like, there's fucking progressive everything.
I would like to get the discussion back to prog.
PROG is bullshit.
Hello everybody from Canberra. This is PROG is Bullshit podcast. And I'm your host, Solid Professor, and welcome guys. We have two guests today. Guys, why don't you introduce yourselves?
Hey guys, Josh, JBraham Lincoln, Mosscilator. Yeah, good to be here. Thanks, Misha.
Ben, and go under Pann, and used to go under Genius as well. I think it's pretty funny, the podcast called PROG is Bullshit. We both make and play prog, and have done for a while, so it should be pretty good.
Thanks guys. Yeah, I was gonna say, I got the both producers. I think this is the first time I have electronic music producers on my podcast. I've had two hip hop producers, but it's first time electronic music producers, and you play prog and you make prog, so this is going to be interesting. I hope you don't gain up on me in this.
Well, I mean, you've come out swinging with the name of the podcast. So.
I was hoping you could explain to us why we're bullshit.
It is the territory. I will try my best. By the way, so thank you for everyone who is listening or watching, and just a reminder that the podcast is available in two formats, on YouTube and video format, and on Spotify in the audio format. So cheers guys. I will say cheers with
What
this.
is this? It's delicious.
This is gin and tonic. This is gin provided by Poncho Fox, local distillers in Canberra, just here in Melbourne.
Bam! It's got a mad tang to it. It's really yummy.
It is
It's
good,
a pomegranate one. So cheers, guys.
Cheers, boys.
Thanks, Misha.
Let's see. If the mix is not right, please.
No, it's
help me
good.
out.
Dude, it's
It's
perfect.
really nice.
It is, yeah.
That's really good, man.
Thank you.
Very yummy. So thank you to Poncho Fox. By the way, we are almost running out. So
Where are they located?
Melbourne.
Sick.
So just here, for those who are not from Canberra, pretty much 10-minute drive from here. We are. So guys, thank you for coming. Like I said, first time electronic music producer, so I would like today mostly, not mostly, but some of the discussion I would like to talk about is production and labels as well. That That would be something interesting. But we can talk about anything. So maybe we guys start with you. What have you been up to, guys, lately? What's happening in your life, music-wise?
I've been putting sausage fattener on the master a lot and just cranking it.
I've never heard that expression. What does that mean?
Sausage fattener is an old plug-in that people used to use. It's basically a chain of compressors and a bunch of saturators and stuff, so it just makes things real chunky and aggressive. And it was sort of an old producer joke years ago, where you just put sausage fattener on everything and just
look if it works.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, that's the thing, man. I don't know, man. Just working on the album, and
this boy has been making dank music for years, like really good stuff, and just not playing it anyway.
We're getting there.
What's up with that?
It's got to happen.
I'll tell you what's up with it. I'm building a live set that I want to play.
Yeah,
like,
fair.
you know what I mean? Like, because I could get up and I could press play, and I could be like for an hour and play some music that I'm half happy with. But I want to be up there doing it in a way that's fun for me as well and engaging.
Yeah, totally.
Get the controller happening and like get some live stem action happening and stuff.
Just get it set up like Beardy Man and take it to festivals.
Oh, dude, I feel like it would have it would have happened a long time ago, but things are, life happens.
Yeah, totally.
It's good though, because it teaches you. We were talking about this earlier, Misha, about the whole thing about just having to rearrange things when you have time constraints. I don't know. I've actually been having some interesting conversations with some friends about constraints or limitations and how that's conducive to creativity. So maybe we can talk about that. It's important, hey?
I remember ages ago, I've been making music for way too long for how not that good I am at it, just because of like life and whatever. Yeah. Been getting into it more recently, but when I started off, I had a really crap laptop and bugger all plugins, and those constraints. I just ended up actually making more with what I had because you didn't spend so long being like, I can go get this thing.
Absolutely,
it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. Option paralysis is
terrible.
Yeah, it can really kill you, man.
It's like having a massive Steam library that's all installed and you to play a game, you're like, oh.
So what the recommendation is to have more at the beginning, or
no, I think so over the years, when I was young, I would have said get as many plugins as you can, because you want as many different kinds of source material as you can get, and you want to process things as many ways as you can. But I don't know, a lot of the guys that I'm talking to these days who are sort of like still learning, who are making really, really cool stuff, I don't use much stuff. Like, they sort of pick one thing, they learn it very, very well, and they kind of master it. And so I think that's pretty much the approach now, I think.
And I'll second that. Like, one of my really good friends who basically taught me how to make music, and Ben C, has pretty much stayed within the Ableton native tools for the last 15 years, and he can pull any sound out of that, any plugin you can name. And like my housemate Alex Duncan, Uncle Dunk, he's a god on Serum, which is just a particular wavetable synth. It's quite powerful, but he's bought that and mastered it, and he can also pull anything he wants out of it. So
absolutely.
And when I first started, I went the wrong way. I'm like, bought all the shiny toys and didn't really learn them, and and then, down the road, there's a dude that's got a laptop, a pair of headphones, and a mouse who's just cranking out really good stuff. So, it's, just work with what you've got. And,
just make things. Like, the main thing is just practice. Because, the more you do it, the more you'll make mistakes. And then the more you'll be like, I won't make that mistake next time.
Yeah, and then if you go buy an expensive tool or toy, it's because it's gonna, you've reached the limit of what you can do, and it will actually expand your capabilities and horizons, rather than starting with all the toys, not knowing how to use them and still.
It's just terrifying. Like, it really is. It's just like being towered over all these different plugins. They all have multiple functionalities in them as well. You don't. Just learn the basics and learn them well, and always know what you're doing and why you're doing it. I guess would be my advice.
So getting back to the subject of what you guys have been up to. So you said you were in the studio working on the album? Yeah,
so when I had my child 2.5 years ago, I had to pack my studio down and turn it into my daughter's room. So I've been doing a lot of headphone work over the last 2 years, so that slows things down as well, and definitely has an impact on how things sound because you don't sort of get a natural sense of the room.
I need to
or
give
width
you
while you're writing.
my other SonarWorks activation.
Oh yes, you do.
Yeah,
if you've
it's
got one.
dope, yeah.
Is it for the headphones?
Yeah, it's really good.
Absolutely, man. Keen.
And headphones are not as good as...
Look, you just don't get a sense for, so like reverb, you don't get a sense of reverbs or space as well, or width, like, and just general sense of space.
I'd say it depends on your headies, because I'll finish, like, I'll make my track on my studio monitors, and then for the critical listening bit, I've got like a fairly decent set of cans that are for production, and on top of that, I've got a plug-in that has like basically recorded like 300 pairs of that headphone and made a like waveform that flattens it out so it's very neutral. And yeah, I finish it off with that because that's, you know, if you've got big ass speakers in an untreated room, it's hard because, you know, you're hearing reflections and what. So yeah, I might disagree a little bit. Like, if you have a
the
good
main
pair
thing
of
I'd say
cans,
about the headphone. Yeah, well, that's the thing you'd want to ride on the, because I'm just riding on the cans though.
Yeah,
so
fair.
you know what I mean. So it's like when you're just riding on the cans, it's not. But again, though, it all just depends how your ears are tuned to them. Like I'm just riding on a pair of DT 770s at the moment, and have been for like the last.
Well, yeah, I got the DT 770 first.
Yeah, dude, they're like they're the standard. You know,
Yeah.
like so many people have them and they're used to them. Yeah, I don't know. I've just tuned my ear really well to them. And so a lot of it as well is like riding on things the way you listen on as well. So I use my earbuds.
Yeah,
as well.
referencing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like so Apple earbuds I think are great just because I use them all the time for listening. So I know how things should sound on them. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, it's all just what your ears are tuned to. Everything's relative in music.
It's like the car stereo test. You know, you can mix in all these expensive things in headphones, and then if you put it on the car, and it's such a crap system that if it's going to be shit and you're missing bits, it'll just sound terrible on it.
Yeah. It's hard to get things all sounding good on all different kinds of speakers. That's what most people. That's the big leap. I think is like getting yourself to a point where you sort of have enough experience. It's all training your ear as well. I swear, your ear just gets better
It's like
over time.
Ben C was like making brilliant tracks and also mastering with a terrible set of monitors and in a small room, but he did it quite visually with, you know, spectrum analyzers, and also he just knew that room and those speakers really well.
It's kind of a new interesting part of music in general. It's just sort of how accessible everything is and like how much you can actually do just with like your laptop and a pair of headphones just on the floor of your room. Like with whatever lifestyle choices you choose to go to
Back
accompany
of your van,
that madness. But yeah, man, you don't need like
Don't need much.
Yeah, you really don't need much in order to make incredible music now. And you know, a couple of $1,000s will get you more than you need to fucking learn things for over the next 10 years, you know. Like I was telling you in that interview we did, like I got complete 13 and it like was like, oh my no,
too much guys.
Yeah, just so many things, man. And like just trying to learn them all and then also write is just crazy. Like it's just, I mean, they all sort of do the same thing, but you want to find the things that appeal to you sonically or have a certain vibe to them or whatever.
Yeah, the learning curve is pretty steep sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's annoying because, like, I tend to, like, hectically focus and write a track because I've got pretty hectic ADHD, which I only discovered, like, 6-7 months ago and got medicated for it. So I, like, hyper-focus on the music, make a track, and then be, like, almost physically unable to keep writing music after that because that, like, wellspring of creativity is gone because of executive dysfunction.
Yeah, that's the juice, man. Yeah. Like, so that's like me and my old writing partner there, Morgan, used to call that the juice. Yeah. It's like you come up with an idea and it has a certain amount of juice in it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Like slowly but surely you milk the orange, and if you leave it too late and it has no more juice in it,
totally.
Like, fuck, man, now I've got this half-finished thing, but I got no more juice to.
Yeah. It's like, and also with the learning curve, previously it was so long between writing sessions. I'd like, you know, crack open Ableton and be like, well, that's a lot of buttons. Like, almost like have to reteach myself again, which made it again as hard. But yeah, that's all changed recently, and I've been cracking out music and bailed on my DJ alias and just like trying to cruise forward with production, which has so far gone really well. It's cool.
PROG is bullshit.
Awesome. So, Josh, you keep, going off the topic. So, this album you said you've been working on, can you tell a bit more? What it?
Yeah, actually, so
you told me about it in the interview, but
It's
this is a different.
I'm kind of trying to mix a bunch of different things. So like, I don't know. It's like because I like different kinds of Xenon music specifically, and like so I like some of the harder sort of like European sort of stuff like Hypogeo or Chromagon, who's from America, I think, and then just some of that sort of harder, not faster, but just like
darker.
Yeah, it's like dark and like the transient's very hard and it's just like very like driving, you know what I mean? But then
It's like darker warehousey. It's like a darker
yeah,
techno void.
Yeah,
it's like
warehouse is a good way. Like there's the industrial element to some of the
totally,
sound design and stuff. So there's a bit of that going on with it. But then I'm also trying to mix that with what I really like about a lot of the Australian guys who are writing stuff where it's like there's a storytelling thing. Like I don't know, like very much like that new Fractal Joke guy who's just
that first intro song is so good.
Just the whole thing. Like I just love that kind of cinematic storytelling kind of stuff, and so I'm sort of trying to mix those together. I'm trying to make a sort of cinematic storytelling kind of thing, but then also just make it very just industrial and hard and just like I don't know, man. It's been such a long process as well that I don't even know what I'm necessarily doing with it anymore. I've sort of just got about 10 tracks that I'm sort of working on, and I'm just trying to be careful with it, I suppose, is what I would say. I'm trying not to ruin anything by getting zealous, and because that was a bad habit I had earlier in my writing, where I would sort of just be like, get to like 50%, lose the juice, and then just be like, I'll just throw crap on it and call it finished, you know?
How have you personally managed to keep like a sonic focus? You know, you got an album and it's they don't have to sound the same, but you kind of want like a coherent sound. How do you keep
personally,
that through so many
I've
tracks?
just really focused really heavily on kicks and basses, and like because like for that kind of genre of music, that's really like the core of it. So just like getting really comfortable with that, and like getting it to the point
and
where
it's like the sonic signature of those bunch of tracks.
Kinda, yeah, because like pretty much, yeah. Like, and I don't know, like I have to listen to it on more speakers, but I feel like I've found an interesting little niche here, like a little space between different kinds of kicks and basses that I like. But yeah, I've just been doing a lot of that, man. A lot of tuning my ear to exactly what I like with the kick and the bass, and then sort of teaching myself how to be able to recreate it really easily. Yeah. And then once I can do that, I'm sort of comfortable. And then I suppose just letting my ear. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know, like the song tells you what it wants, you know. Like if you just listen to it enough, it'll just be like, you'll hear it.
Totally.
It'll tell you what it wants to do, and you just have to sort of oblige it. Oh man.
And Ben, you said you have been writing quite a bit, so
not as much as I should be, because the work, and also after the COVID lockdowns, everyone's been gagging for parties. So there's been heaps of gigs.
I think let's just share this.
Yeah, sounds good.
Share the love.
The pink love.
Yeah, pink love.
But yeah, definitely writing more, and I've got a single that I'm pretty happy that isn't released yet, but I've been playing around, and I live in a fairly amazing household with other producers, and they're doing remixes of that particular track in their very own unique styles, and my sort of mentor Ben C is also doing one. He wrote the track with me, so hopefully that's going to be finished soon. I'll have like a coherent chunk of music. It's just a single, but it's like the old school records. You got the single and you got the B-sides on the other end, and they're all amazing producers as well, so it's pretty cool to hear my own music reimagined through their much more skillful eyes. It's fun.
That's awesome. So you're gonna release it on a label?
Yeah, so Ben C has a label called Cow Records. It's a sort of like experimental music label. It's sort of open to everything, and he's also very open to new producers, old producers, and he's been running that for quite a while. And I'm getting some traction with it now, so I'd fully love to release it on his label and just send some traffic over his way, and they can explore his archive of stuff that he's got on there. It'll be heaps of fun.
That's awesome. So what sort of music is it?
It's very much like what you would have heard me play when I was DJing. It's kind of girthy, melodic prog sort of deal. It's got that, hopefully it's got that sort of storytelling open Australian sound to it. It's got lots of space in it, and it's quite melodic. The bass moves around a little bit, so yeah, sort of stuff.
I don't know. I recall your set at the Earth and Rhythmics. I don't necessarily think it was very melodic. That was a bit more kind of darkish.
Yeah, so I think I played 4 or 5 of my tracks in that one, and yeah, even when I play like darker prog, kind of like my criteria for a track is I'll pretty much make up my mind based on the bass. Like if it's not just that 60, it needs to have some girth, some movement and whatever, and also have some melody to it. It's not like there's a fair bit of Xenon prog that I love that it's hard and driving and I really like it, but it may or may not have some piano rolls or melody flowing through it. 'Cause like you've heard Pterafractal, like he's got melodies flowing over melodies all over the shop. Not like that, but like that element of musicality is like really appealing to me.
That's not enough. Not enough gin in this one.
Oh no, you shortchanged yourself.
Oh, I just want to behave myself. It's
behave yourself in your own home. You don't even have to drive anywhere.
On the podcast.
I think you're right.
Because last one I didn't really.
We got to the end of it and you're a bit.
Yeah, like just
To be fair, that sounds like most sets I've ever played, especially if it's a larger one. Super nervous at the start. You've got your beverage, and you're like, oh god, I'm scared. Start drinking, and then by the end of your set, you're just like.
My first big set, I remember I was just out the back. I must have smoked like fucking 20 cigarettes in a row.
Oh, you get
like
it.
5 minutes.
Oh god, yeah.
Flipping out, man. It gets easier as you go, I guess.
No.
Never, bro.
So my set, the last one at the bridge, just that was a Friday. Oh, that was stressful. They had this,
just nerves, or
I
just
couldn't
like
tell when I saw the vids
the
of it, bro.
functionality. They had this old 9 CDJ 900.
Oh, so it was like the
Where
technical,
actually,
yeah.
So I'm like, oh, press Q and it goes back to the previous track. So I played.
Oh yeah,
played
plug
the
of
same
that.
track.
Look, that's
like 3
why.
times on one side. Like, what the fuck, man?
That's
no
why.
one to tell me. Like, there's no one around. Like, no DJ in the vicinity.
Yeah, no stage manager. Yeah, that's why. Like, I've done IT my whole life, so I started mixing through that technological lens with a laptop and a controller, and that I learnt that program, and it was agnostic as to what equipment was there. I had complete control of it, and wouldn't go to a gig and they got different firmware or different machines, and you have to figure it out. I mean, after that, I deliberately learned how to mix with vinyl and CDs just so I could. But yeah, having mixing in the box has avoided a lot of those troubles for a really long time.
Well, the controller that you have, it's pretty compact.
Well, that's just for transport, like jog, play, cue. Actually use the provided mixer, because most of them, the Nexuses have sound cards in them. So just it used to go laptop, sound card, then RCA's in, and now it's just laptop straight into the mixer, and you just assign 2 channels to the digital, and then that little Tractor X1 controller.
I didn't know that. I haven't played in so long.
Yeah, fair,
I didn't know that was going on.
That's you put it in your tech writer now. You're like, do you have a Nexus?
Right.
Because you just go in and plug in, and then it's.
Oh fuck, that's heaps easier.
Yeah, but you got the drivers on the laptop, and
Yeah,
it's
right.
you bring it up, and you can. It's 8 in, 8 out. You can reconfigure your channels on the fly, and you can record it straight from, and then you're using a $2,000 plus hardware mixer to mix, even though you're using a laptop. It's just playing the tracks, so you're getting all that awesome effects and functionality of a hardware mixer,
As opposed to pumping
a
it
MIDI.
through the dirty mixing.
Oh yeah, when you're using a MIDI controller. Especially with some of the Tractor gear, it's great, but you're using a $80 program and a multi-$100 controller, but it's run off USB bus power, and so using MIDI to control a program, and it's replicating all the effects inside the software. And then its DAC is a 5-volt USB boy, and I mean they sound great, and then bloody oath people can rip it out, but it's not quite the same as having the dedicated hardware there for sure.
Yeah, right. Our host has left.
PROG is bullshit.
myself now.
I've inspired him.
Yeah, I want to start
Best time for me
connecting
to
and
cough,
try.
Let's all have a cough, boys.
Yeah, I felt it here.
Yeah, right. Let's all cough it out, boys.
It's like those the boom cannons with the vortex.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
It was heavy. A cough.
Oh, boys.
Did we all survive COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fine.
Did you-
No, well, like I had it. But
Yeah.
I guess I'm here.
Did you, Misha? Did you avoid doofing and performances during that period?
Not intentional.
Yeah.
Or during.
During the COVID, because there were quite a few parties during it. Like, you know, whether it was advisable to put them on or not is again another question. But like,
Well, Canberra wasn't in the lockdown. Wasn't in the lockdown for a long.
yeah, but
for
we
quite
still
a
couldn't
period.
have events and stuff.
I went to a couple of
Yeah,
small doofs, like 30 people kind of stuff.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
like I had like a bunch of bookings and whatnot, and like in the midst of it, I'm like, you know, I got to be good. There's vulnerable people around. I won't go. Blah blah blah. And then I think it was this New Year's. You know, I'd not gone to so many parties and, you know, possible performances and stuff. And then I got back from a holiday, and every person in my office had COVID except for me.
Yeah.
And they were like super careful. They don't go. Like the older chaps, they don't do anything. I'm like, you know what? I've stopped doing what I love doing for like more than a year now. Just like, how long am I going to do this for? And then I was like, yeah, and went to the New Year's thing, which, you know, that was definitely there. But
I had a good time with COVID, I'm not going to lie.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just a nice week off.
Yeah, fair. No, I
Had
was
some
dead.
showers.
I was dead. I was in bed for like 4 days.
Oh, yeah, me too. But, like, you know,
Yeah.
that's quite a pleasure at times.
I'm pretty sure I invented some new symptoms.
Yeah, right.
It was haggard. Yeah.
Dude, actually, because I'm pretty sure I got it at Dragon Dreaming.
Yeah, no, that's where I got it too.
Yeah, dude, and then when I got home, like, I had a pretty rough ride home with, like, a long story, but, like, I ended up riding home in a van with the window open, going through the dust, like,
Oh,
I was
no.
already, like, full-blown COVID as, and I was just getting smashed with the cold
Yeah,
air
yeah.
and the dust. When I got home, I was just, like, shivering for, like, an hour,
Oh,
and then,
no.
like, when I went to bed, I had a whole bunch of wacky hallucinations
Oh my God,
and stuff.
Teddy.
It
Yeah.
was pretty wild.
I woke up on the last day. I'm like, I feel like death. And
Yeah.
my poor partner Lauren woke up
Yeah.
and like and just started crying. I'm like, oh baby.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah.
You know you're not good when you just start
Yeah.
crying.
Yeah. She woke up. She's like, I feel so bad.
Oh,
I'm
no.
like, guess I'm packing up everything.
Pack up duty.
Always.
But I guess, yeah, go for it. So on new band COVID, did you focus on production a lot during COVID? Or since there were no
Yeah, definitely. During the first bunch of lockdowns, I was working at Parliament House, and I'd kind of got into a rut in terms of learning new things. And then, you know, we worked from home for 6 months, and I didn't have that much work to do. Like, it was very bums on seats. If you're at work, you're bums on the seat. Then I was at home and you smash out my work, and I was like, I'm in my studio, and it was, it was terrible for many people. I know friends in Sydney and Melbourne suffered greatly, like, you know, being that confined. But Canberra's lockdown was super mild, and like we have a pretty rad house with like a stage in the lounge room, and everyone's got a studio in there, and we're just in there all the time. Like, this is sick. So yeah, that's when I wrote a whole bunch during that, and it was just like home time all the time. And then went back to work, had to go back to the office and realized I hated it, and quit for about 6 months and took up longbow making and wrote a bunch of music. And yeah.
So have you released your music on any labels yet?
I'm on Glitchy Tonic Records with a track I wrote with a friend, and I've got 2 on Cow Records, but not really. So
Why is that?
because I've never felt like they've got the quality that's required, and also not the quantity that's required. So Josh is making like a coherent album of music to put forward to a label, and so, and then also when you're on a label, there's, the quite right expectation that you keep producing, and because of a lot because of like untreated ADHD and having that executive dysfunction. I just knew that I couldn't keep that up. But in the last 6-8 months, that's definitely changed. So, with this single, and then I'm gonna come up with a follow up with an EP that's based on heaps of nerdy stuff. I'm a giant nerd.
So is it like you said, there is an expectation that you would keep writing, but so you can like if you have a track, sort of release it as a one-off and.
Well, yeah, you might like get on like a VA, like a various artist release. You've got like a bang track, and then whether the invite to actually be on the label comes or not, you don't know, but it's probably a pretty good option if that happens. Then yeah, they'd probably want you to, and particularly if you saw I was a DJ, I still am a DJ, and I've got a bunch of tracks that I like playing, but I still mix them with other tracks from other artists. And I guess if you're on a label as a producer, and they get you a set, or you get a set, the expectation is you play a set of your own music, and I just don't feel like I'm quite there yet.
It's a hard place to get to, man.
Oath, man.
Because here's the thing as well, I've got hours of music, but I don't feel like I have a really strong 90-minute set.
Yeah, totally.
Not quite, I'm getting there. Once the album's done, it'll probably be around there, but man, it's so hard because you get pretty sick of your stuff after a while as well, and you listen
to it and you're like,
yeah, you just get weird with it. I don't know, I went that's why the only reason I'm bringing up the JBraham Lincoln stuff is because I went and listened back to some of that recently. I was like,
so what's the JBraham Lincoln to
Mosscilator? So the JBraham Lincoln was the original project, and then I just wrote a bunch of silly psytrance underneath that, probably I don't know, 15, 18 tracks of that sort of stuff, and then launched the Mosscilator project. And that's where I'm going to be doing all my psytrance now. And the JBraham Lincoln stuff is just kind of just making beats and stuff for fun and whatever. Nice. But I don't know. But I do have all this old psytrance that was from that old project though. So I might
a bunch of it. It'd be cool.
Yeah, I was thinking of making an album maybe of just some of my favourite tracks of some of it, and maybe re-releasing it or something. I don't know. It's pretty fun stuff though. It's such day drinking music, man. It's so silly.
Day drinking.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Actually, it's just let's get hammered. It's 12 o'clock.
It's got the happy fun.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's so ridiculous. Actually, I've got to get some. If there's anyone out there who has the fucking Thick and Sporty Master, if anyone out there downloaded that, send me a copy, because I'm pretty sure I deleted it. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I killed it forever, so if you've got one, send it through.
You regretting that decision now?
Yeah, I don't know, I don't remember doing it, so, but it must have been a mistake, Worst comes to worst, it'll be on my old computer, which I'll just have to raid the hard drive on it.
PROG is bullshit.
Which is, minor hassle, but I've got to get some things off that actually anyway, now that I think about it.
I've got a caddy you can have.
Yeah, let's do it.
Plug it in.
Yeah, let's organise that, man, because I've actually got I've got a computer that I can launch it all onto as well, like another Mac that we can...
Oh, yeah, sick. Yeah,
dude, we can literally just swap the hard drive over. That'd be good, because at the moment, Ableton's open on it, but it won't do anything else. I can't open...
I actually remember that computer, man. I was load it up, and you're like give it a minute. She'll be there, man. She'll get
there.
The
Finder windows don't work on it anymore. It's just stuck on whatever project has been open on it for the last 3 years or whatever.
Wow.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, I've been drinking hard, man.
Well, maybe you should switch to absinthe.
Just to us, Misha. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, right on.
Yeah,
does the absinthe go well with the gin and with the tonic water?
No, absinthe is its own self.
It's its own thing.
It deals with lemonade. I don't really have any lemonade.
I don't think I've ever had absinthe other than straight.
Oh,
I mean, it's heinous. It's heinous, yeah.
Well, let's find out, Wes. I'm not sure if I've ever had it either.
It's like aniseed. Yeah.
Oh wow, there's all Oh, there's spinach in the bottom of it, man.
Spinach, it's healthy.
That's hectic.
It's not spinach, mate. It's prog.
Oh, this is. Oh, it's got prog floaties. Oh, boys.
That was my dad for one of my birthdays got me a bottle of tequila with this absolutely fucking ginormous scorpion in it. I'm like, I don't want this stuff's you got to eat it. I'm like, I don't have to at all. It's like this flaccid, rubbery scorpion at the bottom. I'm like, no.
Oh man, that smells really good though. Is this also? These are from the same guys, right? Local.
Yeah, Poncho Fox.
Yeah. Okay.
So it says here, Poncho Fox Absinthe is a magical drink made with locally.
It's got a kick, eh?
Forest.
Dude, that's damn good.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Yeah.
So what absinthe used to have some sort of root in it that was hallucinogenic?
Yeah. But you gotta drink
what
like
is
a
it?
lot of it. I
Yeah,
think,
and it's like 70% or something.
yes. This one is a 49. I think.
That's not too bad, yeah.
That's really nice, man. It's tasty. It reminds me a bit of what's that one? Sambuca. It's not quite as like licoricey, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
It's got a vibe to it.
Nice. Locally foraged herbs.
Dude, have some of that. It's
I
good.
don't have
It's really yummy.
We sniffed out of your glass.
You're pouring me another one.
No, I'm gonna steal that because
Oh my
that's
God.
had beer in it. I don't know, like beer and absinthe. I don't know if that's. I don't know if that's a vibe.
I'm sure we can do it.
Everything is a wife here. Everything goes.
Is this a podcast anymore or just drinking?
We've had a
It is a podcast in the bar, right? So, yes, we are drinking and
That's nice.
talking.
I reckon wait, before you, I reckon we should
Yeah.
turn it around a little bit. What have you been doing with music? You've been getting heaps of gigs.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, you've been mixing
I wouldn't
everywhere.
say
man.
heaps.
I would say you've had 5
You've had enough.
or
Yes.
more in the past
Yes.
3 months.
Yes, I have 2
That's-
more.
that's-
2 weeks from now.
A fair amount of gigs, dude. That's like every second week.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So
Yeah.
we
Dude, that's-
played at the the Earth and Rhythmics,
Yeah.
and then at the Breach a couple of times now, a month apart, and a couple of dudes, and a couple of more coming up. Yeah,
And you played a rad prog set
I did play a
at
prog set.
a doof recently as well.
3 Dimensions.
Yeah, that was awesome,
I
yeah.
played before Team Sensing.
Yeah, you supported Sensing. It was like, you kicking goals, my bro.
Yeah, that was a prog set. I did play a prog set. It was mostly Australian artists.
Yeah, right.
Bush prog,
Yeah.
Zinaneski kind of Universal Tribe Records.
Yeah, they're the
Up
two.
Records,
They're the two big boys. Universal
Yeah.
Tribe Records and Xenon. They got
Yeah,
some good
dude.
stuff.
Universal Tribe are great.
So,
They have a lot of good stuff.
where are you gonna be looking to release your album on?
I don't know. Whoever will take it, probably. But like,
Really?
Yeah.
maybe I should set
Yeah.
up a label and take
yeah,
it.
dude. Whoever will take it. But I don't know. I'll just send it around. I'll see what people think about it, and
He won a
I'm not stressing.
Spiral Life remix competition. That's
Yeah,
go
dude. I got
out.
the art back for that the
yeah.
other day.
Is that going out on Xenon?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so-
In like August, September.
Oh, yeah. When is, tell a little bit about that competition. When was it? And,
It was on Spiral Life's Patreon, and it was I think it was for the 10th anniversary for his first album.
I don't know. Who'd you up
when
with?
was it?
Huh?
Is that one I hooked you up with? Was
Which
that-
one?
Oh, because I remember it sent Ben those stems, and because he
No,
couldn't afford
no,
it
no,
at the
he
time,
like-
you already paid. You already
He ran
Patreon?
it. No, he ran it through his Patreon
Yeah, yeah.
recently, and it was like a whole thing.
Yeah.
I think I had to upgrade my thing slightly to be eligible to
Yeah, fair.
enter it. But no, all the other producers who won as well are really cool. I think the other guy, Spectron, was the guy I couldn't remember last night. I hope I've got that right. If I haven't, I'm gonna feel really bad. But him and the Brazilian guy, Kozanaga, and I think that's how you say that, and Dunes as well, who's awesome.
Dunes rad.
Dunes is so good, man. Yeah, I was really impressed. Like, he's got that real kind of. I was talking to a friend about this, about how he's got the real soft transients on the high end of the kick, which is quite different from what I've got, which is like hard transients, you know. And I really like that. And I noticed Sumi Runa does that really well, man.
Yeah, he's got that kind of like mellow sound.
Yeah,
just
dude.
The kicks he's got.
Yeah, his kicks are really nice because like there's just enough of all of that stuff so that it's not like there's no transient, but it's like pulled back enough so that every time you add a hat sound,
It's like
the high end transient,
it's
the
cool.
hat really drives the
heard,
groove every time, you know.
Like the Far North Queensland dudes, like the Weapon Records, they've got
dude.
a similar thing going where it's
Absolutely,
like
yeah.
all not dulled is the wrong word, but like that.
I know what you
signature
mean.
is
It's
on
all,
there.
I would call it almost spacious, like it's
Yeah.
all, like a spacious kind of rubbery kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
thing to it.
It's
very
rounded.
cool.
It's a rounded sound.
Oh, you're right, man. Yeah. Dude, it's I love that whole sound. I'm trying to sort of reorient myself to be able to make a bit more of that sort of stuff.
Dude, we should do some stuff because
we will.
Like
We will.
like Jackson Sound and Electrip knows that. Like you said, the transients are a bit softer and it kind of goes.
Well, yeah, the thing I
rolls.
like about Electropnos' music is everything is like really soft. Like everything is soft as
Yeah.
hell. But then it's also like completely pumped. Like it's like the perfect mix between
Yeah,
both of those
it
things
sounds
at all times.
good.
Dude, it's so smoothie groovy. Like, It's too much.
That's why I like a lot of Australian prog, particularly with the those record labels we were talking about. It's like every sound has its own space and a reason for existing. Because like for a long time with just like hands in the air psytrance, you'd get hat rolls and the bass line would just be there just because it would just be like the sound would be there just because it's meant to be there, rather than having this has its space and a reason for existing. I'm like careful. I really dig that sort of sound. So.
Yeah, man. I swear, just like psytrance was all like, because I really liked psytrance when I was young, but then like after a while you can only do so much with the genre, but then when it sort of got mixed with sampling and FM synthesis and just all of these different, and like granular synthesis and just all these different ways of as opposed to just sort of like that traditional subtractive kind of sound. Oh man, I swear, just like or at least for me, it opened up such a huge world of sound and like ways of presenting it and organizing it. And
I also found like a lot of the prog that I like, because when I started mixing, it was like minimal, like Berlin minimal, and it goes up and up and up and up, and like psytrance and other genres with the drop, and then it would keep going up, but it goes up and up, and then it goes boom, straight back to just kick and bass. And like a lot of the tracks I like, like with psytrance and progressive psytrance, do the same thing. It's like
Prog is bullshit.
I got really obsessed with I had a trip once where I listened to an album, it's one of Sentient's album, which one? The Way of the Sloth. I just like was tripping and just listening to that album, and I was just like, oh dude, it's the things he's not doing. I was like, I just realized like there's all this like space that's happening there, and like I just got really obsessed with that idea of like, and I guess that's what I was saying before, where I'm trying to be careful about what I'm doing with the album. Exactly. Like not just throw things at the wall for the sake of throwing them at the wall, but sort of like to really think about what you're not doing as well as what you're doing.
That's my jam.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
that's good.
It's the way.
So is it what defines prog, or is it one of the things?
I don't know if I'm qualified. I don't know if I'm qualified.
Throw the bomb. Grenade.
I don't know. What's your? Because I've been thinking about how to answer this question.
I've been thinking about it too.
Month, bro. Like,
so
I
it's
don't
like
know how to define it really.
Like there's fucking progressive everything. Progressive metal, progressive trance and stuff.
Yeah.
But I label the stuff that I play, prog, and it's for me that tends to be like the crossover between like Aussie bush techno and Aussie bush prog. And I would say that other than being kind of cinematic, also having like that space, there's not ARPs going everywhere and stuff, is, at least in the tracks I listen to, is the build up is large. You've got a long breakdown without a kick or a beat, with samples and stuff, and it'll build back up, and then it just drops back into just like the minimal kick and bass. And I feel like that's some of the defining structures that at least I look for and find in a lot of prog labels. Would you?
I don't know, man. I just feel like, because I was saying to Misha before, because I was telling him how much trouble I'd had trying to answer this question, and because when I think of prog, because I'm like an old math metal guy from back in the day.
So that's what I mean. Like
I think
prog,
of Dream Theater. Do you know what I mean when you say prog? But then at the same time, like if you say prog in relation to psytrance, it's sort of like, I don't know, I just think like...
That's why I prefaced it with like, for me, it's like the Aussie prog and the Aussie bush techno. It's like, that's the realm.
Do you remember that? I swear there was a whole period of prog there where everyone was just rinsing triplets really bad though. Was that prog, or was that a different... So
there's also Euro prog.
Yeah, right, okay.
Like Shadow FX, and that's way more like hands in the air and stuff. And like that's still progressive.
Is he from Europe?
No, so not Shadow FX. The completely wrong person all know.
Who are you thinking of?
Brain. No, it's gone.
Come on, Ben.
Come on.
No.
No. I haven't played it in ages. It was a mad guilty pleasure of mine because I was always known for playing really serious music.
Right.
And then I'd play the cheesiest Euro prog with triplets.
I don't mind a bit of cheese every now and then.
Yeah. Come on.
That was a big part of that JBraham Lincoln project. Yeah. It's just leaning into the cheese and just really letting the cheese.
No, I got a brain back. I should know. It'll come to me in like 5
minutes.
It'll just pop up in my head.
He's a Weapon Records.
Yeah, no, totally. I don't know where that came from.
Oh man, dude, that absinthe sorted me out.
No, it'll come.
So, what are the labels that prog, the kind of the prog that you like, what are the...
Oh man,
the
me
sort of
personally.
the leading labels. The top
Oh,
labels?
dude, but I like all sorts of psytrance as well. Like, I feel like that not just prog, like a lot of people have done a lot of interesting things. Like, I love, on the prog side, Xenon and Universal Tribe, I think, make a lot of the stuff that tickles my fancy. But I love, like, oh man, I love, like, Parvati Records and, like, Freak Records.
That's
has
more
some
like
great...
full on, yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'll listen to a lot of different stuff. And I really like, St. Goma are sick as well. They've got some great artists that are cranking out some insane music as well.
Where are those labels based?
I don't know, man. To be honest, like I'm not as obsessive on all those labels because I'm not really, the music I write isn't conducive to them as much. Although I feel like the earlier stuff I wrote was like, because when I started writing at like 150, 155, because it's like you can trick the ear because it's so quick. All the transients are so close to each other, you can kind of make them sloppy and shit, and you don't have to. I kept slowing things down in order to like make my mixing better, basically, because like you can write at like 160 and you can trick people a little bit and have your envelopes a bit sloppy. But if you're writing at like 125 or something, listen, you've got no room for error. Everything's got to be on point. Otherwise, it's immediately obvious. You're just like, oh, dude, that's a bit fucked. But like with that faster stuff, you can play, like there's a thing that happens with that faster music anyway, where you almost eventually you can't tell the kicks from the bass, and like
That's what I was
it's kind of
talking
meditative and
to
interesting. Like,
Doug about that because he writes
Yeah, dude,
hectically fast high tech, and like one of
Hydrosect, everyone
yeah,
check him out.
Yeah,
He's
it's
a good
pretty
man.
dope. So I really don't dig high tech, but Doug writes some dope, fun, insanely fast music. It's pretty cool. And I was talking to him because it's like, you know, you've got your kick and your bass, and your bass hips, and it goes doom. But when you've got like a fraction of a second to actually get into the girth of the bass, what the hell do you do? Like, how can you have a well-rounded fat sound with that?
I
Like,
feel like a lot of it has to be layering.
Yeah,
or
you've
it
got-
has to
you've
just
got
be,
the
like, incredibly
sub-bass going.
accurate envelopes, like
Yeah.
really quick
Yeah.
synths with really quick envelopes. It's funny you bring Doug up because I was talking to him about, he was telling me what he writes his basses with, and he said a lot of high tech dudes use this particular VST, and I literally can't remember what it is. Hey,
Yeah.
I'd never heard of it. I was like, dude, he's gonna show up to me soon. I
he
think.
actually showed me he got a hardware synth. It's a bit of an older boy.
Yeah,
But it's like
yeah.
apparent the
Is
thing.
it the
for it.
virus?
No, it's another
he-
one.
Oh, I know he's.
It's like
got
it's like an old school thing, but it's apparently, I think this might be for the
I
leads.
was
in
literally
it
just there
anyway.
the other day, like having a look at them, and I'm like blanking. Fucking, I
right.
swear he does have a virus though.
He does. He got a virus TI.
Yeah. And then the other one's like a Nord or something, I think.
Yeah. And
something.
he said it's like the shit for leads in high tech. It's like
Yeah,
the thing.
right. Okay.
I took a PA over there for his birthday party quite a while ago,
Yeah, right.
and one of my friends picked it up, and it was. She doesn't. I didn't know.
You guys want more beer?
I'm,
Oh yeah, actually.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah,
She doesn't know, like, you know, bits of text and bits of tech. So she just, you know, had chucked my PA and stuff in a bag and just fanged his virus TI into, like, a Woolies bag with all the cables and rocked up in my house. I'm like, I don't want this. Yeah,
I've
like,
got to get playing with that thing, man, because I've got all the wave tables from it. So I got
Yeah, cool.
I've got all the mapped wave tables.
but yeah,
of it,
it's like
and
going
they're
through
so
my
good.
cables and there's like, you know, $2-3 grand synth in there that I'm not meant to have. I'm like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Come get it back.
Yeah, dude, you don't want to fucking
No.
get caught out with that. But
Yeah, I'm like, so this happened. It's perfectly safe. I'm not touching it. I will return it ASAP.
Dude, I'd like treat if I had a virus, I'd treat it like my child.
Cool. Yeah.
Oh man, it would never move. I swear. But like, oh man, I gotta start getting like. I've just recently got into like the whole understanding the benefits of analog stuff. Like I used to sort of have more of a whatever. Like there's so many plugins, there's so many things you can do, but like there's just certain qualities to analog. I actually ran into Gib recently. And
Really?
Yeah, I ran into him
sick.
recently, and he's doing a lot of mastering stuff
Thanks,
for
man.
a lot of different genres. Thanks, bro. He's doing a lot of different mastering stuff for a lot of different genres, and you know how Gib is. He's basically just gotten right into the analog mastering stuff, and he's like fully just into it, man. He was telling me all about it, and it sounded pretty awesome, dude. Yeah, I've got to go over and catch up with him sometime actually. And I really need him to show me all these beautiful analog pieces of gear he's got, because he's pretty much got all the goodies.
Yeah.
Like he's got all the main
I
stuff.
saw
that
a
you'd
picture of
want,
his
I'll just
studio
get
a
these
little
cans
while
out
ago.
of the picture. 'cause,
Yeah,
yeah, thanks, man.
over there.
Until Gold Beer starts sponsoring.
You gotta blur it out in post. You know, it's not sponsored.
Where's my money,
it's
boys?
gonna be extra
I'll chuck it.
work.
I'll
Where's
chuck it
my
down.
money?
Yeah, I'll chuck it down.
Yes, Gold Beer will like you, but
But you know,
we'll
to quote Goodfellas, "Fuck you, pay me." Oh, dude. Oh, man. I still got that absinthe cruising around in this glass.
I still got a bit of gin and tonic going.
Yeah.
Poncho Fox, that was the gin and tonic.
Keep bumping this camera, man. You're going to have to cut in some of these bump camera angles.
I'll just call it a cut to a different angle. It's easy when you have many options.
Yeah, cool, man.
PROG is bullshit.
But then that's like when we went out in the integrator to film that set. I finally got some time to actually dig into that. But talking about too many cameras, there's so much goddamn footage of so many goddamn cameras to go through.
Yeah.
It's like 6.
That's why I just don't go through it. I just multi-camera.
Yeah.
Like the set, you can multi-camera and then you got your set. I think that's the start. So
I can whip that out pretty quickly.
Should
Yeah.
we talk about that project a bit more? I don't know. That has been dormant for a while.
Oh yeah, that's been dormant because of me being heinously busy.
No, not
and,
just.
Yeah.
I mean the project as a
Yeah,
whole.
totally. But also with like all the gigs you've got, I've been busy almost every weekend since mid-December. Starting to quiet down now as it's getting freaking cold in Canberra.
Actually, though.
Yeah.
Actually, you guys. I don't know.
I was in.
Actually, what?
It's so cold, dude. Like, it's just this winter's gonna suck. It's
But
gonna
like,
get worse.
I've been in Canberra my whole life, and every year it gets colder again. I'm like, I can't deal with it.
Yeah,
No, you just do it. But yeah, I was in Newcastle on Sunday and it was 20 degrees and sunny. I was like outside in a t-shirt and like
Hang on, when?
on Sunday, and I drove back to Canberra. Just as I hit Canberra, there was a storm and it was like 4 degrees and raining. I'm like, yay, I'm home.
It's just the snow, man. There's crazy snow this year, so the air is just frozen already. It's gonna be a nice one.
So, Josh, you play live.
Yeah, so I used to play basically just sort of like pre-recorded sets, basically. And yeah, now I'm sort of like got a bit more of a live thing. It would still be a pre-recorded thing, I suppose, technically, but like there's I will have a lot of live elements that I can mess with on the fly.
What's your plan with that? Do you have like some sort of...
Basically just everything in stems and then just
Yeah.
remix everything and just have everything kind of new and interesting every
'Cause I
time
think
that
it was-
I play it so that it's interesting for me. And then also, so like all of the new stuff will be like sort of the solid foundation of the set, and then I've got like at least probably 2 hours of old stem mastered stuff that I can cut in, and I've sort of been conscious about keys and tempo.
Because I think it was, Tom Cosm was, how he does live sets in certain situations. Like he does absolutely crazy setups as well. But he'd take his track and put it down to like, condense all the tracks in like maybe six elements or something similar.
Yeah.
And then,
Stem it up,
basically, you might have like 50 tracks or whatever, and you can press that down into the fundamentals of it. And then, if you've got to push, which
it
is
just means
sick
like
for
when
that.
I go to like write a set or put a set together, I just have a lot of creative freedom. So like a big thing that I didn't like about playing live is I didn't feel like I had much freedom, because I sort of just had these masks. Because again, like what you were saying before, like if you get booked and you like people kind of as a producer, people kind of expect you to play a set of your shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or at least for me, I don't know. For me personally, that was just always what I wanted to do. Like I got into DJing kinda like years and years, like 10 years ago or whatever, like a little bit, but I don't know, like pretty quickly I found DJing like really confining. I just sort of was just like, because I can hear the sonics in my head, you know what I mean? So it was just, I would just be like, oh, if only I knew a track with this sound or that sound, and I'm just not a crate digger like a lot of those DJs are. So I was just like, man, I need to learn how to make these sounds myself so I can just do it. You know?
Yeah, totally fair enough.
Like,
I came from a DJing background, so I have that resource library of years of looking for music and collecting it.
Absolutely,
so that exists.
I had a decent library, but a lot of it was sort of just like cheese sci, one of the like nice cheesy sci. Like I sort of had, I don't know, man. I just didn't.
What is it now?
It felt confining. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but like now I don't feel confined at all. Now I feel like it's sort of like an infinite exploratory journey of sound that's
progressed.
Yeah, it's always progressing, Misha.
Progressive.
We're always progging out of it, baby.
Well, you gotta do it.
I'm pretty sure I'll be
Progressing everything.
mixing my tracks for a while, just because I've been DJing for 10 years. It's something I can do, so I can still make interesting mashups and that
It's
sort of
interesting
stuff.
you bring that up because I've actually been looking at some other stuff that I've been thinking about that lately. Like maybe what are some other tracks I could use from other artists that I could maybe use to. Man, I remember I played one set.
Because it's called live.
I played one set at Silent years ago that was like. They were like, I had about an hour of original material at the time, and they booked me, and I was like, and they were like, no, 90 minutes, bro, 90 minutes. Bro.
Like,
that was when the
shit.
90-minute thing came in, and everyone was really into that. Yeah, I was like, oh shit, so I literally just played like a Hellquist EP, and then played my hour set.
Oh no, yeah. Because I suppose if you don't have like
Yeah.
the infrastructure
I
to
didn't
DJ,
realize. I was just like,
what are you
man,
gonna do?
fuck
Yeah.
that, man, I'll just play some Hellquist, man. Fucking Dave's always got it cranking. But then, like, dude, then I felt bad as well, though, because fucking Dave's music's so much better than mine at the time. I was like, oh, dude, never start with, like, half an hour of really good shit and then play, like,
Because what's it called? It's called,
nonsense,
like, lively.
Like, which one's that?
That's like when you do, like, you mostly play your music, but there's other bits in there. It's like
I've never heard
lively.
that term.
Right.
Okay, interesting.
There's a couple of cool artists I heard their sets. Like, I think there was a lot of remixes of other artists' tracks. But, it was like a coherent whole. It's mostly their tracks, but they also have... probably people have collaborated with and stuff.
Dude, I'm super interested in the remix thing, man, because, like, dude, like, for me, like, the hardest part is generating enough sounds that I really like that all work with each other, but, like, man, when you give me a pack of sounds that already work together, God, I love it, dude.
Yeah,
it's so
dude,
fun.
it gives you...
So creatively, just,
like,
it's juicy, man, I love it.
For me, I struggle with track composition.
Yeah.
You've got this section that goes into this section and all flows normally. Like, I fully struggle with that because, I'll have a bunch of ideas and I'll put it all in. I'm like, oh, yeah, I got 2 minutes of music now. Now the fuck, what do I do?
Yeah,
but
right.
with remixes, you've got that structure there and you can work around it.
Yeah, you can think about what they've done and then do...
Yeah.
Like, I just love as well, just, like, reprocessing it all, so I'll just get all the sounds and just reprocess them into, like, new hectic things and then start thinking about how do these new sounds talk to the old sounds and start
Like
making
call
them,
and response
yeah,
and
exactly.
bouncing
Start
around,
getting them talking to each other in a couple of interesting ways and then the ideas start building themselves. Man, I'm going to show you some Guitar Pro 6 tricks that I came up with recently. Yeah,
I used to have a bunch of those.
It's one of those ones where you wouldn't think it would be very good, but man, I figured out some pretty cool stuff recently, dude. Yeah.
Well,
There's some big moves you can make with it.
Dunk's the phenomenal guitarist, and he bought a soft synth plugin. It's like the series is called Archetype, and they basically go and model famous metal guitarists' amp stacks. And there's this one like gent prog metal dude called Abassi, like thick as hell. 6-string guitars and stuff, and he gave me his other activation of that.
Yeah, right.
And I started playing my violin again and just putting it through like gent beast.
You play violin?
Badly. I'm learning a little bit. But yeah, putting that through like, a guitar rig girthy gent amp is phenomenal.
So that's exactly the thing that I've kind of figured out with Guitar Pro 6 when you put things...
Anything through it. Yeah, you got all that pre-built...
So that comes to that industrial thing we were talking about before, where you can get these sort of like insane, distorted kind of... Oh man, I just need to buy so many distortion units though. They're so damn expensive though. Everything's expensive.
Go back to what we were talking about at the beginning. You can work in the box with what you got. I mean, even Ableton's got a bunch of pedals in it.
Dude, it has everything you need. You don't need anything else. Like, all of that stuff is sort of like...
It's convenient and does something, might do stuff that...
Well, frankly, dude, so like I got the Soundtoys plugin like a couple of years ago. And I wouldn't have, and that was maybe producing for 6 years or something, and I wouldn't have really appreciated any of that stuff unless I had sort of like 5, 6, 7 years of experience with it, because it's sort of like... It's very subtle. Like, all of the stuff that stuff does is very subtle. Like, and again, even more subtle, the difference between the emulations. And then, sort of like the actual hardware. Oh man, actually, that's what I wanted to bring up today. Have you guys heard about this thing? I don't want to bring it up because I don't know the name, but I do want to bring it up because it's the best, right? So like, there's this thing you can do where you can hire out analog gear. I think it's in some warehouse in California or something, right? And like, you hire it out by the hour, and you literally like, so they have I don't know how they've done this, but they've got these VSTs, so you drag it in like a VST, and then what it does...
It just like reroutes the signal.
Oh, bro, what it does is it sends whatever you're working on like live, like into a physical hardware machine over in their warehouse or whatever, and then every time you move anything on the VST,
That's ridiculous.
Bro, yeah. They like move the knobs physically as you move them on the VST.
That's crazy.
So you pay them to like basically render your audio through their hardware shit.
Yeah,
and
you just go get your own sample
dude,
pack.
I'll find the name of it and I'll tell you, Misha, so you can link it, man, because it's just... someone was telling me about this recently. I was like, holy shit, it was just like
That's
blowing
pretty cool.
my mind. Like, yeah, dude, yeah. So they've got all these robots attached to all these old, like literally a museum of like mad hardware shit that's really expensive and hard to find. And, yeah, you can pay them. It's not much either. It's like $10 an hour or something.
Good. So it's like they don't even have like control voltages where you could do that automation. It's literally like analog knobs.
Yeah, dude, it's literally the analog pieces of gear, and then somehow they've managed to like figure out like an input-output thing from.
Well, you can
like,
send control voltage to like an Arduino, and then send that, make that into a PWM symbol, which will turn a servo. So something similar to that.
Yeah, dude, it's wild stuff though. So you can literally, you can run anything through anything these days.
That's awesome.
You can do anything, man.
PROG is bullshit.
I would like to get the discussion back to prog.
We're going off the chain.
You have evaded it like
You have evaded it.
Yes. So the stuff, Josh, you make. So your album is going to be progressive psytrance, right?
I would call it that, yeah.
Dark prog?
For sure. Yeah, it's a dark proggy kind of thing. I'm trying to find my own little thing, but yeah, it's
Josh prog.
Josh Prog.
So what is Josh prog then? What is it that makes it prog though? You're like, yeah, I'm gonna make prog.
Dude, I don't know how to answer this question any better than a month ago. Yeah, I guess that's probably got to do with it. Like, I've been writing like I think between 134 and like 140 around there. That's my sweet spot lately. I like that. It's like just fast enough, and I also find as well you can give the illusion of things being faster or slower depending on how you mix them. And then also there's a lot of fun maths tricks you can do as well. I've got some fun with it because, like, again, I used to be a drummer for years, so
is there a prog formula?
Just offbeats, man. just do good, like, you know, just put some eighth note offbeats.
I think
in
it's
there
probably like how words might start with a particular meaning, but then by common use, you know, everyone just subconsciously agrees on that this word means this, even if it's not how it started. Maybe prog's the same thing. It's just a type of sound that a bunch of people agree, they listen to it like, oh yeah, that's prog, you know, it's just in the zeitgeist of everyone's
vibe,
mind.
man.
Yeah.
It's just a vibe. You have to feel it to know it.
Still trying to feel
You're still trying to figure it out.
A lot of,
dude, I think we're all trying to figure it
progressive
out.
house, then that's another dimension. The most common definition is sort of progressive psytrance.
And it also depends like where you live. Like progressive psytrance in like Israel, for example, is that sort of like faster, not harder, but more like kind of more cheesy stuff. It definitely is progressive psytrance because it's not full on or like old school psytrance.
What artists come to mind? when you
Nothing
say
yet.
prog-psy?
It's been
which,
for me.
Yeah, for you. Like, which artists would
Grouch,
come to mind?
Spiralife, Sumiruna. Like, I'm very invested in the Australian scene sort of deal.
See, that's interesting because I feel like they've carved their own thing. Like, if you said to me like prog-psy, bro, I'd be like, oh yeah, like Captain Hook. You know what I mean?
Well, that's one of the
Like that
Europrog.
Right, so that's what you
That
meant by
Captain Hook and
Europrog.
that ilk of people.
Okay, right.
Yeah, that's one of the
But
artists.
I
was
also
trying to
put
think
Captain Hook in that like Israeli prog.
of. That's why I call it Europrog because
Right, okay,
over
yeah.
there that's progressive psytrance.
But like a lot of the Israeli guys are like making spin twist music as well, though. Like they're all on, like that's a whole different thing, isn't it?
That's what I was saying. Like it literally depends on where you're from and what the general consensus for prog is.
What was that video? Was it Skazi that did that video with someone? Like I swear to God, there was a Skazi video going around for a while where he did some sort of something with someone. I know Infected Mushroom did some work with Lady Gaga.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, they did a beat for Lady Gaga after they moved their studio over to LA, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I've actually thought about that a lot. I've often thought about, like, in 20 years, is, like, a lot of this sound design stuff going to penetrate into, like, the same way a lot of, like, production techniques that you used in the 80s have like now sort of defined a lot of like modern pop stuff, or like a lot of this like weird underground stuff that's happening now find its way into popular music, do you think? I don't know, in that same vein of like Infected Mushroom doing a Lady Gaga beat,
Totally.
what's that gonna be like? Like, is that like?
Well, like,
I want like I guess what I'm trying to say is like, okay, what's the ceiling to this thing? Like, what's the ceiling to the Psytrance thing? Because like, if you had told me that
well, if it's Psytrance,
but like Infected Mushroom like defined the Psytrance sound like back in the late 90s, and like then they end up working with Lady Gaga. It's like, what's the ceiling to that kind of thing? Do you know, like
as you mean going like in the definition of mainstream?
I suppose like how far will it penetrate into that mainstream world, do you think? Like, and I don't even just mean like Infected Mushroom or Psytrance specifically, but like that weird kind of sound design that's inherent in some of the more underground kind of music.
Well, that's like in rap and hip hop, you've got Hermitude, and I really like Run the Jewels. I never grew up with rap or anything like it, but their production's dope, and that's definitely using modern
production.
production.
James Blake, man?
No, not
he's
at all.
crazy. He's like, I'm pretty sure he's like one of these bedroom kind of dudes where a lot of his production's all just like sort of crazy, like kind of, almost like a gotcha kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's like wacky, man. Like there's people doing really interesting things these days, I swear. Like I don't know, man. Like music's so. Let's take it beyond Psytrance and like Psytrance into mainstream. Like, just what's the ceiling of music, bro? Like, it just
that's
seems.
A big question, yeah.
Yeah, dude, and electronic music specifically. Like, I swear, man, it's just so. It's just like they've
unlimited. Pretty much.
What's been pushed already into places that I never would have seen it going, dude. Like, just like so, Bill, like the thing Bill just released with Killsmith recently. Where it's like, damn, dude, like, if you go back to, like, early Bill, like, seeing him in those early Sydney parties, man, I never would have thought he would be making stuff like that eventually, but, like, you can still hear Bill in it as well, so it's like, I don't even know, man.
Well,
it's just,
dude,
it seems like
good
completely
music
limitless,
good music is good music.
Yeah, fully.
You know, I don't like a bunch of genres of music, but every so often someone will show me something and I'll be like, that's dope.
Yeah, oh, yeah, well, yeah, we all know what we like, for sure. You definitely know when something's good. And you definitely know when something's bad as well. Which one do you think is easier to identify? Knowing something's good or knowing something's bad?
Oh, look, I can hear a genre that I wouldn't usually listen to, and it'll take a little bit and be like, oh, you know what, it's not too bad. So, but yeah, if something's heinous, it's like it's heinous.
It's fucking Fridays by Rebecca Black or whatever.
Yeah.
Has that kind of.
Well, with hip hop, for me, it could be like good production, sound production, but then the lyrics can just.
Yeah, so I didn't grow up with any of that, so I came into that really late, and it was DJing, and it was about production. So the ones I got interested in, they're both really good lyricists, but their underlying tracks are thick and awesome, and you can definitely hear like modern glitch hop and bass music influences in some fairly massive mainstream artists. Like, they're good producers as well.
Yeah. Oh, so we've come up to 1 hour and 8 minutes, guys.
Really? That's awesome. I was fully concerned that, wouldn't have anything to talk about. Being in front of all these mics and cameras and stuff. But
man.
It's been a good chat.
Just let it flow, man.
Yeah.
Music is a fun song.
We only got pretty sidetracked, but avoided your question as best as we could.
Yeah.
I still can't tell you what prog is, man. I don't know.
Did you ever answer why prog is bullshit though?
Yeah, why? Yeah.
Well, because it's confusing.
Look, you're not wrong. Hey.
Nothing.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
That's why. Right. So many things, like we talk predominantly about psytrance, but like if we bring other genres into, like if someone says I'm playing prog, to me like which
prog?
Yeah, is there a wanker thing to it, man? Because it seems like every genre of music,
maybe
someone
it's
wants
like,
to plant the prog flag.
Maybe it's like there's like a pioneering new genre, metal. Like that was a whole thing. It like, I guess it sort of came out of rock. I'm not very educated in that space, but rock became harder metal, and that was a new sound, and that had a sound, and it existed for a while, and then it was still metal, but it was new and different and sonically different from metal, so it was progressive metal, and that might happen with every genre.
Wasn't progressive? I feel like traditionally was supposed to be it referred to like song structure. So like if you listen to like Queen,
Yeah.
like a lot of Queen song structure is progressive, as they would say, or Dream Theater, as I used as an example earlier, where it's just sort of
Well, yeah, but that
fucking just
it
like
takes,
A, B, C, D, E,
but
F,
that
G,
takes
like,
a existing genre and
Yeah.
then puts it in a different structure. So
yeah,
it,
of course,
you know,
yeah.
whether that's pop or like,
See, I feel actually like structure used to be way more important to genre though. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you were writing a rock song in the 70s, I feel like structure was very like there was a confined type kind of expectation.
and then it became progressive rock and changed the structure.
Yeah, see, I feel like all music's kind of progressive.
Yeah.
At least a lot of
I
the
mean,
music I find
obviously
interesting.
music evolves constantly. Like, it's hard.
We're all progressing, guys. And we're all bullshit.
we talk bullshit.
Yeah.
We are not bullshit. We talk
Yeah,
bullshit. But I have been inviting the viewers and the listeners to comment on what they think prog is.
Oh yeah, have you got anything on there?
Yes.
Yeah, sick.
I got this one comment, quite a long explanation. It is from Live in the Seam. I don't know who that is, but okay. Prog equal Tool, Carnival, and
Porcupine Tree.
All three good, very good bands.
Yeah, they're dope.
Then prog comes, I think personally, that prog comes from progressive rock and roll. Then there is the jazz influence that gets into Rasta and blues rock and roll, and that all influences techno. I think.
Holy crap, that's a convoluted web.
I think techno is prog, but I also think that the mainstream prog sounds is actually not so much prog because it progresses too fast. The second paragraph. I think prog means that the music progresses slowly. I think that it should be the defining feature. If you want to call it prog, it should mean that it progresses slowly. It pays respect to the slow progression of prog rock. So long as it does that, progresses slowly, then it is prog. Otherwise, it needs to be put in a different basket. Love your work, mate. Hook into the gym, my mate.
we did that.
So yeah, so I guess the main takeaway from this is the music should progress slowly.
Look, I won't disagree with that. I was just thinking about a lot of the tracks I call prog. They're not chopping and changing really quickly. They progress through their different stages over. I think some of the Sentient tracks are like 12 minutes long. It's a long way, and a lot of prog is 7 minutes plus, and it does tend to progress slowly. So that's totally valid. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Very fair comment. Anyone else, please, guys? Comment.
Help us out.
Yeah.
We're all trying to figure this out, guys. We will crack this code.
We all love it, but we don't know what it is. Guys, thanks very much for joining me. It has been a nice conversation. Awesome.
Thanks, you.
Thank you.
Thanks, dude. That was heaps of fun.
Let's play some prog now.
Let's do it, boys.
Prog is bullshit.